coming to you live. It's In the Know with Mo. And now, here's your host, Mo Vela.
Hey everyone, welcome to In the Know with Mo. It's so good to have all of you back with me this week. I'm kind of proud of myself, by the way. This is 2 weeks in a row I'm hosting. I was gone so many weeks this summer, I forgot what it's like to host 2 shows in a row. And I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad you're here with me. As usual, I want to thank Leslie Marshall for believing in me and giving me this hour of her network time. And I want to thank our audience and our subscribers, our viewers, our listeners. I want to thank Mark Grimaldi, mine and Leslie's producer. He's indomitable. And Dave Compton, my personal assistant. With all of them, none of this would happen. I have an incredible guest this week. But before I get there, I want to tell you about my moment of truth, MOEMENT, as every week it is. I am a 4th generation Texan. Anybody who knows me knows that. I've made no secret about it. I'm proud of my Texas roots. I'm proud of my Latino roots, just as much as I'm proud of being a gay man. I bring it up today about Texas because this was a horrific and tragic week for the people of Texas, in my opinion, and that is my moment of truth. You have a governor who has now restricted your right to vote in Texas. You have a governor who has now restricted the right of women to have an abortion. These are the most restrictive, discriminatory, prejudicial actions I have seen in many, many years in my life. And I've been involved in politics since I was 18 on the local, state, and national level. I've never seen anything like this, to be honest with you. I'm horrified, and I thought Trump was the worst we had seen. Now I'm seeing something even worse. There is no shame in Governor Abbott. There is no shame in the Republican Party that follows he and Donald Trump. And I am mortified. We all should be. And as I said on the Leslie Marshall show this week, I will say it again on In the Know with Mo. The only way to fight back is not the way they do. The only way to fight back is to vote. The only way to fight back is to donate money to the campaigns of candidates who believe in inclusion and equality and decency and respect and who love one another. So let's get mad. In Spanish, we say, pónganse las pilas. That means get up and get moving, get to the polls when the elections come, get out and volunteer and campaign, and let's elect people that do not discriminate, that do not hate, that actually believe in women enough to allow them to choose what occurs with their own bodies. We need to elect candidates who believe that whether you're black, brown, poor or rich, gay or straight, whether you are of any ethnicity, whether you are of any zip code, that you have the power and the right to vote. And that is what a democracy is all about. We should not be restricting access to that voting right. We should actually be making it easier, more accessible, faster. So that is my moment of truth. Get up, get off the couch, donate money, volunteer, go vote, get your neighbors to vote, get your family members to vote. We must elect people who will not act in this shameless manner, the way Governor Abbott did this week in Texas. Okay, to brighter topics, to much more loving and exciting information and knowledge and wisdom we are about to gain from my guest. Nikhil Sehgal is from London, England. I had the privilege, I call him Nick. I think he likes to go by Nick, so I am going to call him Nick throughout the podcast, but his official name is Nikhil. Nick appeared on the tapings of Unicorn Hunters this past week. We just shot the next 6 episodes. They will begin airing in about 3 weeks. Nick Sehgal and his company Vastmindz will be one of those episodes. He was so spectacular. He was so brilliant and so awesome and amazing that I said, wait a minute, I have to have him on right away at the podcast and the radio show, because I was so inspired by him and so touched by his soulful spirit. So we welcome to In the Know with Mo, Nick Sehgal. Nick, it's good to have you with us from across the pond, I might add.
Oh, it's so good to be here with you, Mo, again. I just wish I was back in that studio with you, but I'm sure we'll get another chance to do that.
Well, let's be honest with the viewers and listeners today. You ran into me in the lobby of the hotel we were all staying in during the taping of the show, and we immediately bonded. And I said, "My God, here's my new British brother, my little brother from a different mother, right?" And so we became instantaneous brothers. We went to dinner every night for a week, the
Every
entire
night.
week in and around the show. And I didn't want my audience and our listeners and viewers to think, wow, I just watched you present on the show and that's the only time I've met you. That is not the case. I've gotten
Yeah.
to know you, and I wanted you on the show because I wanted our audience to get to know you too, because you are so damn special. You really are uniquely special. So, Nick, let's go back to the beginning. First of all, the company that you are the founder and CEO of, that presented, and people will get to see the episode in the next
Sure.
4 to 6 weeks or so, is the company's called Vastmindz. In your own
Vastmindz.
words, rather than me trying to say what Vastmindz is and what you do, I will only say that your background is in algorithmic analysis and algorithmical, is that the word? Algorithmical?
You could say that.
Or algorithmic data analysis and development, way beyond my law school knowledge, right? I went to law school, so there was no math or science, so or technology. So algorithms I can't even spell the damn word. So why don't you tell us, with such a storied background in algorithmic analysis and data, what did you take that and why did you create Vastmindz, and what does Vastmindz do? Then after that, Nick, we're going back to the beginning, back to your little Nick. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, I'm just so humbled to hear those words from you, Mo, as someone who I look up to, and actually my family looks up to. And I think we connected because there's some energetic vibe about you that I was just drawn to. And so it's just, I thank God that I bumped into you in the
You're
lobby
sweet.
that day.
You're sweet. I love you,
But
brother.
but yeah, so I graduated with a mathematics degree. I didn't really like my degree, but I was always quite good at mathematics, and I went straight into investment banking because just to be open and honest with you, in Indian culture, there's three things your parents want you to do: is either become a doctor, or become an accountant, or become a finance expert.
Okay.
There's three things that they want you to do, and I chose the latter, which is become a finance expert. And I thought, I saw people on the trading floor, and I thought, there's just some buzz about being there in that
Yeah.
type of environment. So I went straight into investment banking. I started off my graduate career in Credit Suisse. I was then poached by Nomura, which is a Japanese investment bank. And they had one of the best algorithmic trading divisions across the entire division. So that's when I really started pairing my mathematics background with understanding what these algorithms are doing. And it was so advanced that we were really trying to compete or trying to speed up our algorithms by milliseconds. And when we were able to do that, it got to a point where we had to speed up our algorithms by nanoseconds. I mean, this is just time that humans can't conceive of.
Yeah.
But between each of my words, there are millions of nanoseconds which have passed already. And so using these smart algorithms, I thought, well, how can we apply the same technology, which is predicting investment decisions, right? It's still an outcome. An algorithm doesn't know, oh, great, I'm predicting an investment decision. How can we use that same technology and predict health outcomes? It's still a prediction problem, still uses the same underlying technology. So I tinkered with that for a while, and then I was actually approached by a company called Cowen and Company, which is a US investment bank. And I was the only one really there at the time, which had a only actually real trader at the time that had a macroeconomic understanding of how to trade, how to invest in companies, but also a technical understanding of how companies work. And so fast forward 6 months into my job at Cowen, they actually made me head of the entire Asia Pacific algorithmic trading division. I was only 25 at the time, and I was director. We were which was great between about 5 of us, but again, it got to a stage where I'm still predicting an investment decision, and really, it got to the point where how can I use advanced technology and make people's lives better? And how can we democratize access to health and wellness data? So then I started using advanced technology, applying it to predict breast cancer, to predict certain other diseases or other pathologies. But then I really thought, how can we actually allow anyone just to see what's happening beneath their skin? And that's how we formed Vastmindz. So we collected a vast group of the greatest minds to create an innovative solution that can allow anyone to see what's going on beneath their skins without any external physical device. And we were one of the first solution of our kind to be able to do that.
Absolutely amazing. As I said on the show, Unicorn Hunters, I don't know whether it'll make it into the final episode or not. I will say again here at In the Know with Mo, in my eyes, we are looking at one of the next Elon Musks of the world, in Nick Sehgal. Nick, when we come back from break in a few seconds, or a few minutes, I should say, we're going to go back and learn a little bit more about how did Nick become Nick, right? And what about your upbringing, your value system, and your parents and your familial setting and your youth resulted in this passion of yours to use your brilliance, your intelligence, and your wisdom to actually make the world a better place. So you don't want to leave us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Nick's going to take us on that journey. We'll see you in a few minutes.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or 2 or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey sis, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Whoa, a digital music player. Thanks, Mom.
Glad you like it. We can finally toss out that old massive stereo.
Mom, you can't just throw out electronics. They need to be recycled or donated.
Recycled? Like aluminum cans?
Yeah, you just go to greenergadgets.org, enter your zip code, and it tells you where the nearest certified recycling center is.
I knew that.
Okay, Mom.
Recycling electronics is as easy as buying them. Log on to greenergadgets.org to find electronics recycling options near you.
You know, my producer, Mark, literally his instruction right now was, you are clear to come out. Mark, I came out over 35 years ago. I wish that I wish that this was it, but no, it's been a long time already. So as all of you hopefully saw in the first segment, my guest is spectacular, an incredible inspiration, a genius. Nick Sehgal from London, England, one of the companies that presented on Unicorn Hunters this past week as we taped season 2. His show will air sometime in the next 7 weeks or so. And of course, you know, you can go to unicornhunters.com to watch all of the upcoming new episodes. It is magical, including Nick's company, Vastmindz. Okay, Nick, we said when we came back, we were going to go and figure out how the hell did you become this amazing person? I attest to the fact that you are an amazing man. So I want to go back, because this show is about how do we all keep growing? How do we keep learning? How do we keep evolving to be the best version of ourselves we can be? And part of that is I always like to go back and say, walk us through your childhood. Was it idyllic? Was it challenging? Was it traumatic? Just walk us through if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't typically call myself amazing, so I'm just humbled every time I hear that from you, Mo. So,
well, that's my privilege. So I am calling you amazing.
Yeah, my childhood, it wasn't anything out of the norm. I was also I didn't really have many friends. Just to be quite open with everyone, I didn't during school or high school up until the age of 17 or 18, I didn't really have much friends growing up. In school, I was generally called a bit of a loner. And so there was definitely some coming out I had to do out of my shell.
And just for the record, Nick is straight and has a beautiful girlfriend. We got to clarify this. Otherwise, I'll get all kinds of mail.
Yeah, I used to. My typical day at school was to go into the morning. I was subject to some racism abuse at that time. Yeah,
and where was this, Nick? In London?
In London, yeah, in London. I used to generally eat lunch by myself in my car when I could get a car to school.
Really?
Yeah. So I was generally, but you know, looking back on it, I had a lot of time to myself, and that was great. And I had a lot of time to reflect. And I was always, like I said, I was always very good at maths at school. I was always very interested in just a very clear way on how to explain what's going on in the world, like some sense of comfort.
How did you, how did you keep that kind of victimization from a bullying, the racism? How did you keep that from making you angry and bitter later as you grew up, right? And you're like, you don't feel that. I don't sense that rage or bitterness in you now. And how did you heal from that and let go of that? Because this is a very important life lesson, in my opinion, that I hope our listeners and viewers will take to heart.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, when I was subject to some racism abuse in school, I wasn't always calm and collected and cool. I couldn't contain my anger sometimes, and that did come out. And luckily, it didn't get to the extent where it got me in trouble. But it was very, just to be open and honest, it's very hard at that when you're in that emotional state.
Yeah.
I mean, we're humans. We are driven by emotion. That's how we make decisions. We are generally not rational beings. So when you're in that emotional state, it's very easy to do something out of character. But I think I realized over time that this is more of a reflection on them rather than a reflection on me. And that was very comforting to realize that, and reminding myself that this, yeah. So reminding myself, actually, I'm not the victim here. Actually, it's a reflection on them. And then I actually felt some sort of sympathy towards people who are like that, because individuals who generally try to put other people down, I think a great life lesson is, if someone is trying to put you down, that's more of a reflection that they are hurting inside. So instead of showing rage, the type of individuals, because behind someone's skin, you know, there's other things going on. So, and that's very comforting when someone really tries to trigger you. Understand that they're hurting, and that's it's very comforting to, not comforting, but it helps you understand that people are the way they are because of other factors, and it's nothing to do with you.
Yeah, I don't know that I've done this on the show, but on the podcast. But I remember learning that lesson from a man that is one of my mentors. And I remember being really upset about something this lady he had introduced me to had done to me publicly. And I was so angry and so hurt. And this is me in my 50s, right?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, the only one suffering right now is you, right? Because you're angry. And he said, what you need to learn is that she's where she's supposed to be at on her journey. She's just not where you need her or want her to be on your journey.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And that, like you just said, is such a powerful revelation that they're the one hurting. They're the one that if they intentionally did something to hurt you or I or anybody else, they're the ones suffering, right?
Exactly.
So, well, what a great lesson. So now, listen, first of all, let me say hi to Mr. and Mrs. Sehgal, your parents, who I have not had the privilege of meeting yet, but I feel like I know them because we've spoken so much about them and the role and impact they had on your life. I want to touch real quickly on the fact that your mother, remind me, I don't want to get it wrong. She, in Barcelona, Spain,
Valencia.
Oh, in Valencia. Yes, I'm sorry. See, I had the wrong city. I remember this now because we talked about it being the home of paella, right?
Paella, yes.
So tell me a little bit about the role. We have about a minute and a half here before the break, but can you just, in a capsulization, tell me the impact and the role they played in your life?
Of course, it kind of shaped my entire life. So they were always, as traditional Indian parents do, they're always a very advocate of hard work, advocate of being ambitious, and that's my dog going off. I'll get to him soon. But they're always an advocate of hard work and being ambitious, and always supporting me through my educational journey. And as everyone knows who comes from an Indian background, education is at the first and foremost of everything you do. And really instilling that within me definitely shaped the way I view my career. And I don't really see it as a career anymore. I just see it as a mission. And it's something I have to work hard towards. I don't generally like describing to people that it's a career or it's a job.
Well, as a unicorn hunter and the Circle of Money, I thank Mr. and Mrs. Sehgal for bringing you into the world and creating in you this gift that you are to the world. And when we come back from this break, we're going to pick up right there and we're going to move to the next step on your journey and keep learning from you, Nick Sehgal. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mo.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope.
Corporate acolytes and right-wing moralists constantly preach to laboring stiffs about the uplifting dignity of work. Of course, that's dignity as defined and controlled by corporate elites, not by workers, and the reward for it frequently includes on-the-job injuries and death. Not that CEOs and well-heeled investors intend to sicken, maim, and kill thousands of laborers every year, but they certainly do put them in positions that assure such unhappy results. For example, they demand that farm workers go sunrise to sunset picking crops in California's 105-degree desert heat, and that construction crews toil in the muggy dog days of Florida summers, tarring condo roofs. Low-paid, powerless workers die, but no one in the corporate hierarchy did the deed, right? Heat was the killer. But wait, not only are aloof, air-cool bosses the ones who knowingly subject subordinates to deadly heat, but they're also the ones who hire squads of lobbyists and lawyers to kill simple, inexpensive rules to stop these deaths. Such rules as requiring ample water at work sites, ensuring paid rest breaks in cool spaces, training on-site managers and employees to detect and react to signs of heat stress, and imposing serious punishments for violators. Such sensible steps have repeatedly been proposed as official workplace policy for at least the last 50 years. But intense industry lobbying has killed the adoption of all attempts to prevent what amounts to workplace murder by corporate profiteers. Instead, the U.S. government pretends to protect workers by printing posters admonishing employees to beware of heat, basically telling them goodbye and good luck. This is Jim Hightower saying, but at last a real proposal has been put on the table by more than 110 grassroots groups. See it and join it by contacting Public Citizen, citizen.org.
Welcome back to In the Know with Mo. I'm Mo Vela. It's good to be with all of you this week. I hope all of you are having an incredible day and an incredible week. And as we head into the weekend, I hope all of you have a special weekend filled with love and laughter with those that you care about and love. Our guest is my dear friend, my little brother, my British brother from a different mother, Nick Sehgal, the CEO and the founder of Vastmindz. So Nick, I want to go back to clearly you shared with us the role and the impact your parents had on you, and to your sister, by the way, I send my heartfelt greetings, and to Shivani, your beautiful, stunning girlfriend. You are dating up, my brother. You are dating up. She is.
That's good to hear.
Not only is she gorgeous, she's brilliantly smart, is what I've told, and so I'm happy for the two of you. So look, I want to pick up where you left off. Your parents instilled in you these values, many of them cultural from your beautiful Indian heritage. Relate to that as a Latino, right? There's so many traditions and cultural traditions that we're very blessed to have from our Indian heritage, our Latino heritage, or whatever our heritage and ethnicity may be. And that's the power of diversity. But
exactly.
Now, you're a mathematician for all practical purposes, right? You have a degree in mathematics. And then you're this algorithmic guru, right? I mean, clearly you are an algorithmic expert. I just was thinking about something on the break that I wanted to ask you before I forget. You know, algorithmic analysis and the data collected, I was just thinking to myself, it's very powerful to be able to and know how to do what you do. but it's also dangerous, is it not? Because it's about how we use the data and the information and the knowledge we gather through this algorithmic analysis. How do you keep from that information and data and knowledge, how do you keep it from being used in a destructive manner?
Biggest problems that faces our society as new technology advances and collects more data. How do we protect the end user from adverse outcomes? And I mean, everything we do is highly encrypted. Any data we collect is highly encrypted. We have one of the leading cybersecurity experts as our CTO, and the reason that he's not a, let's say, a healthcare expert, he's a cybersecurity expert, is because data is first and foremost one of the most important things that we can keep safe about users, because this is everything we do is about helping individuals. We're not looking to exploit their data for either marketing or advertising purposes. And a big issue today, and something that was released recently, is the issue with advertising bias in Facebook data. And really, that's just building our responsibility. I mean, it's not the technology's fault. It's we are building in human biases into our technology, which is, and in fact, everything we do is about removing ethnic bias. So we remove the fact that if you look at existing devices that extract similar parameters to what we extract, some of them don't work as well on darker skin tone individuals. And darker skin tone individuals were shown to suffer a lot more from COVID and actually other diseases. So not only are we discriminating against them in that respect, but you're also most susceptible to these health outcomes. So everything we do is about removing that bias. Can we use technology to make everything more inclusive?
Well, I think you just said something very powerful when you said it's our responsibility. And the reason I asked the question was because the Facebook example, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other examples of people using algorithmic analysis and data to actually discriminate or to create a bias, as you say, or to be used in an abusive manner or a violative or invasive manner. And so I appreciate what you just said, because I think that's, what I want to learn from you was who is responsible. And I think it's the people who are not just gathering it, but how are they using it, right? And that's the responsibilities there. So we're going to get to Vastmindz in the last segment, because I want you to walk us through exactly what you're doing, because it's going to change the world and how it's going to save lives and impact our lives in the last segment. But in the rest of this segment, I want to focus on a couple of other things just about you as a person. So what made you go from, because I think there are a lot of people watching and listening, right? We all go through these changes and evolutions on our journey of life, where, maybe we're not enjoying our job as much, or maybe it's not as fulfilling. What was it for you that you went, okay, I'm making a shitload of money, I'm doing just fine. Whoops, we might have just gotten a violation from the FCC because I said shitload, but oh well. Sorry, I apologize. But you were doing well financially. You were succeeding in your career at a very young age, a director at 25. I mean, you're on your top of your game. And why all of a sudden, what was it within you that says, I'm willing to sacrifice all of that, which is what most people are chasing and aspiring to in life, to go and create a new entrepreneurial venture in the healthcare technology space? Walk us through what was going on in Nick's mind and heart that took you from, I'm willing to give all this up in order to go make a difference in the world like this.
Yeah, great question. So I think that there's a couple of aspects to it. But I think one of the things that I realize is I always thought that if I was one of those big boy traders on that trading floor, I was managing a team, I would be happy. And I would only be happy once I got there. And I guess a great life lesson is you're never happy once you've got those things. One of the things that keeps you going is the chase. So you're always looking for more, always. And that's one of the big life lessons I learned. So I learned to actually attach value to the pursuit of getting better, rather than attach happiness and value to, oh, okay, when I get this load of money, then I'll be happy. No, it just... I've changed my values. I value getting better and learning more every day. That's it, first and foremost. And one of the other things is that the other thing that kind of pushed me away was just the ambition to really help save lives using advanced technology. But it took me actually to go through quite a dark place during my time during that career. I was in quite a boisterous environment. It was a typical Wall Street environment where I would be usually sweared at in front of everyone about 2 or 3 times a day. And it was quite demeaning and mentally quite challenging to be in that environment every day. And it took me, I've always had this entrepreneurial ambition, but it took me to go through a dark time in my mental state of being in a job like that to actually realize what matters and what I really value. And it's those 3 factors which sort of pushed me over the edge to go into my entrepreneurial journey. And you know, it didn't really matter how many steps I had to take back to go that much forward in the future. It didn't really matter at that point. But that was really an inflection point for me.
And I think that my listeners and our viewers will now realize why I adore you and why I think you're such an inspiration and why I wanted you on the show, because that is one of them. I want to just go over it again, because to me, this is one of the greatest life lessons for all of us that you just shared with us, right? Which was a couple of parts to it. One, I love the power of the concept of enjoying the pursuit.
Yes.
And not just waiting to be fulfilled and happy when you reach the goal.
Yeah.
And I call that just living life.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? Because that means
living life.
Every day we're just going to laugh and cry and love along the way. And then be in the moment. You and I talked about this many times over dinner last week in Los Angeles, about being in the moment and just knowing that being present toward our goal and just live it, right? Power from Nick Sehgal. The second piece, I think, was that you were willing to, like you said, take a few steps back.
Yes.
In order to, because you understood that may be a short-term hit for a long-term gain, not to put it into financial terms.
I couldn't have put it any better.
Yeah, but right. So you understood the power of short-term sacrifice for long-term mental health and you know, and happiness and fulfillment. I hate it when we're in this kind of awesome moment and we have to go to break, but Mark will fire me, my producer. We will be right back. As you can tell, you do not want to go anywhere. We'll be back with Nick Sehgal. Pick up right there where we left off. See you in a minute.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. We show up differently, worship differently, and have found new ways to express our love and support to family and friends. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back into the things we miss most. Like spreading the word without spreading concern, girls tripping instead of solo sipping, brunching instead of late night munching, and talking smack with a side of mac and cheese. It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines.
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Is it safe?
Can I trust it?
What about pre-existing conditions?
Now get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome to Code WAC, your podcast on America's broken healthcare system and how Medicare for All could help. I'm your host, Brenda Gazar. How does America's dysfunctional healthcare system treat patients in need of organ transplants?
My best friend and my ex, Christopher, he's from Canada. He was sitting there and he goes, it's so weird to think that because we had planned on moving to Canada when Trump got elected. And we didn't. We stayed in California because we both were working and, doing things or whatever. He goes to think that in Canada, you wouldn't be going through this right now. You would have quality of life because they have a healthcare system which is supposed to take care of all this for you. They do all the worrying and you're not left out in the cold to fend for yourself and fight for your life, basically. It's literally, and it sounds dramatic, but it really, really is, a fight for life. And I think that, if we did have healthcare for all, then the healthcare system in this country is so whacked to begin with. It would just be a fresh start, I think, is necessary,
So what would that mean to you if we had a single-payer healthcare system like Canada has?
I would be riding horses right now instead of on the phone. I would be doing things that I absolutely love and enjoy. People that aren't sick don't get it. You know what I mean? And it's all about dollars and cents. But once you get sick or you have a family member that gets sick and you realize the rabbit hole that is this healthcare system that we have right now is really, really, really in need of a complete overhaul. I think that healthcare for all would eliminate that. What we have now, where it's just basically about money. You're just a number and they push you through, and it's really hard to get someone to see you as an individual.
Thank you, Joel Sloan. Get the full Code WAC story on progressivevoices.com and on the PV app. Catch all our episodes by subscribing to Code WAC wherever you find your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Heal California, a nonprofit that uplifts the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. Until next time, stay healthy.
Welcome back to In the Know with Mo. I'm Mo Vella, your host, and my guest this week is Nick Sehgal, all the way from across the pond in London, England. He is the CEO and the founder of Vastmindz. As I promised, the last segment, we are going to focus on this amazing company that Nick started and that he leads. He is their not only founder, he's also their lead research scientist, using his expertise and brilliance in algorithmic data and analysis to develop products that we just heard about at Unicorn Hunters, that you will see at Unicorn Hunters in his episode airs. And I want him now to take a few minutes to walk us through, because he is literally changing the world and he is literally impacting lives and saving lives through his brilliance. Nick, walk us through in layperson's terms, because we established at the beginning I can't even spell algorithmic. So I know you have more than one product at Vastmindz. Yeah. Take us through one product at a time. And if you could, in layperson's terms, in kind of practical terms, what have you now created that is going to change the world and save lives?
Yeah. So, okay. So in layperson's terms, so like you said, we have a couple of products. I can explain what they do in one sentence. And that is a non-invasive, easy and accessible way for anyone in the world to understand their physiology or in other words, understand their health and wellness status. That's
Okay,
really what we're doing.
And what does that mean? My health and wellness status, right?
Yeah.
I just did that in a British accent. You gotta
Yeah.
love that. I just said status.
Oh, I love that. That was so perfectly British.
Oh, I'm telling you. As I said to you every day last week in Los Angeles, you could tell me to go to hell with that British accent, and I'd say, what direction is it? Oh, amazing. Okay, so walk us through. Oops, we're having there we go. You're back. You froze for a second, but you're back. Sorry for the technical difficulties to our audience. So Nick, walk us through then the first product, and what does that mean? I'm gonna drop the bombshell. It's through facial recognition.
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
that's all I'm gonna say. Walk us through what that means, and what does it mean that it's going to give me my status, my health and wellness status.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the moment, the only way that people can understand vital statistics about their physiology, such as their resting pulse, their breathing rates, their oxygenation levels, their stress levels as well, and other things, the only way that people can currently do these is through a device like a wearable device, which are great, but things that touch usually their skin, these are external physical devices. And if you look at the amount of people, if you look at the worldwide population and look at how many people have wearable devices, what we might think it's a majority, it's actually only 23%. And if you look at the amount of people who have smartphones, it's about, you're looking at around 80%. So there's a massive gap of people who have smartphones but can't necessarily afford wearable devices, which can be quite costly. So what we do is we do not require anyone to purchase an additional device to be able to understand their physiology. Quite simply, we are able to look at their face and extract the same information. So if I was using a smartphone, I'd be able to look at my camera and it would extract the same information with the same levels of accuracy as a physical device.
Amazing.
So it's, and the reason it's able to do this is and I guess I'll explain this in lay terms, your skin is slightly, from a computer's perspective or from a video's perspective, your skin is ever so slightly see-through. So your computer can actually see every time blood pulses throughout your body and throughout your blood vessels underneath your face, your skin actually changes color. And it's not something that I can't see. Moe's skin is changing color every second, but it's something a computer can see very clearly. And because of this phenomenon, we exploit this fact to actually extract these signals without any physical device. I mean, technically, if we were to, I know we had some fun and we thought, well, actually, we just take pre-recorded videos of ourselves where we were talking in interviews. Could I see what my stress levels were during the time when I was delivering this conference or delivering this talk? And yes, you can see this just on general video. So it's very easy. And easy and accessible are the two keywords.
And that saves lives usually, easy and accessible. And so let's talk about that a little bit. How is this going to, I think on the show, I said the word, it's really preventative, right?
Yes.
Because what it does is it's going to allow anybody in a third world country that has a phone, right? Which, as you said, 80% of the world, no matter where they're located, has the phone. So through facial recognition and your technology and your brilliance, they will be able to develop a baseline of their physiological status. Right?
Exactly.
So in other words, again, in layperson's terms, it'll allow me to know that. Now, does it store this data? So then, in other words, will it alert me that my heart rate is substantially higher tomorrow than it was today?
Yeah, exactly. And again, to put it simply, it will just understand what's normal for you because everyone's different, and what is abnormal for you. That's really what we're trying to do, but make this so accessible. And abnormal for you and understanding that early could be different. It could actually be a difference
Absolutely.
between life and death.
Absolutely. Heart disease, stroke,
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
I mean, so many things, right?
Yes.
I mean, even COVID, for example, because your oxygenation rates were an indicator.
Yes.
Because if they drop below 90, we've all been instructed since COVID began, that if you drop below 90, you need to go seek, go to a health professional.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
that's true. And actually,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and actually, we've been recognized by a regulator in India that this type of tool is actually necessary. And they're currently fast tracking us through a regulatory process over there to actually be used as a device to screen for potential signs of COVID.
Wow, that's amazing, Nick. And because, when I went to the pharmacy to buy the little thing you put on your finger and punch the little button, well, that was $52.
Yes.
So what we know is the average person around the world cannot afford to be spending $52 on a little oxygenating thing, right? So now take us through what other products you're developing. I thought this was amazing too. Not as if that wasn't stratospheric enough, that you literally are going to now change access to healthcare statistics and baseline statistics for the average person around the world. It blows my mind that in a village in Africa or somewhere in El Salvador or in rural India, right, that people can use the phone they already have through your technology and just simply look in the camera and get a baseline. Quickly take us through the other. We have 2 minutes. I always hate this because we run out of time on In the Know with Mo. Take us through this new product you're about to roll out.
Great. Well, don't worry, I'll be quick. So this new product, we all know, we all love our pets. Pets, our family. And our new product is the first solution in the world that has the ability to understand the risk of pets suffering from heart disease. And if you look at senior dogs, 75% of senior dogs will suffer from heart disease at some point in their life. Hospitalization costs for those diseases could be relatively high unless you catch those early. A video of your sleeping dog, in about 30 seconds, we can understand their risk. And dogs and cats and companion animals are so important to human health, to our emotional health.
Our mental and emotional and spiritual health.
We are one and we are connected. So we are just providing a non-invasive way to change the way we monitor not only humans.
So you're not only saving humanity, you're also saving the creatures that bring us so much joy and happiness. Our companion animals, as you say, they are family. I'm an enormous dog lover, as you know. And so I thought when I heard you rolling that product out, it probably got me just as excited as the one helping humans. So, and I think there are millions that share that. Nick, I'm a little emotional because I don't want to say goodbye because you're such an incredible person. Every time I'm with you, every single time I'm with you, I continue to grow and continue to be inspired. You are uniquely special and a gift to the world. And I thank you for making that sacrifice to change careers in order to save people's lives. You deserve all the goodness that is coming your way, my brother. I thank you for being on In the Know with Mo. You are welcome. You are welcome to my home, and you have a place in my heart.
I'm just so humbled by that, Mo. And, every time we connect, it's like tens of years.
Old soul, brother. Old soul.
Yeah, and just to hear that from someone that I am inspired by, you are actually someone that my family is inspired by. So to hear that from you is really humbling.
Brother. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.